morning and welcome to the last day of the actual sewing part of the sew along. We have one more day on Monday when we'll be announcing the winners, but today is our last actual sewing day, and we'll be working with the waistband and attaching together both the top and the bottom of the romper or the dress. So let's get started on working with the waistband. I am doing size 2X for my waistband, so you will see me using 4 pieces for my waistband. If you're doing anything smaller than that, you will have 1 piece for the waistband. One for the lining, one for the main, whereas I'll have 2 for the main and 2 for the lining. Not a huge problem. So I went ahead and added interfacing to the center front of my waistband. This will help my grommet stay in place, and I'm going to use my punching tool that I use for my bags to mark, it's too dark, okay, to mark my holes for the grommets. If you have a big punching tool, you can do this with only one. My punching tool doesn't have, this is the biggest hole I think I can get through from it. So I do one hole with it, and then I do another one, and then I cut with my little scissors around it to make it a little bit bigger to fit the grommets that I plan on using, because I am using like a medium size grommet, not very small. So I just cut around that hole. You can do this directly with your snips, or your without even using the grommet tool, like I'm doing right now on the other side. See, I make sure that my placement matches, and I just cut around. You want to cut a hole that will fit whatever grommet you opted for. Let's see if I just snip it with my hand. It's not as round and not as pretty as when it was done with my punching tool. See? Okay, so now I have my attachment for grommets on my press. I'm using a table press. Let's see, I need to make it even a little more bigger. A little bigger. I'm using my table press, but you can do this step with a handheld press too. You don't have to invest in one if you don't have one. But I can tell you that if you do have one, you'll use it for everything. I use this press for rivets for my bags. You can use it for snaps, as long as you buy different dies for it. Like, I mean, you cannot use this die for rivets. You have to have a different attachment, but you can use pretty much the same press. So it's a one-time investment in the big tool. Alright, so hopefully now the holes are big enough for this grommet. And it looks like they are. So I'm using one big grommet on one side, and then the grommet cap on the other side. And it looks like I put the wrong one. This attachment has various sizes, so I need to make sure that I'm fitting the right. Yeah, this is not the right one. This is too big. So find the right. I have a box full of attachments. There we go. So this is the one. See, the one I had before was a little too big, because I have various size grommets. You need one that's the fit for the grommet you are using. Alright, easy change. So slide your grommet inside, like so, and then just press. If you need more force, you can definitely stand up and do it. And there you go, your grommet is in. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So on the right side, you slide your grommet in. There you go. And then on the back you add your grommet and press. There you go. All done. So our grommets are done. Now we can continue working on our waistband. Alright, so let's start creating the actual waistband. Take the front piece with the back piece of the main fabric. In my case, the lining and the main are the same, so you won't see a difference in my case. And just lay them right sides together, matching the notch, and sew the side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance to create one big loop, and that will be the main of your waistband. Like I said before, because this is a size 2X, I have 2 pieces for the front. You will have only one if you're sewing a smaller size, and you'll be adding that to the back of the dress. In my case, these will be the side seams. So I'm doing 2 stitches as opposed to 1. And that is only to accommodate the width of the fabrics, the standard width of fabric. Because you couldn't have 2 unfold for 2X and larger. This is different just to accommodate the width of the fabric used. Alright, so this is my main waistband with the 2 grommets on the front. I'm setting that aside for now. And now take your lining waistband, and on one of the sides go ahead and press it 1/2 inch towards the inside. And if you're doing size 1X or smaller, just skip this step right now. If you're doing size 2X or larger, go ahead and sew one of the side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Alrighty. So now on the other side, the one that you have pressed 1/2 inch, alright, so now we should all sizes should have the same lining of the waistband. One of the pieces is folded 1/2 inch towards the inside, and the other one is not. So make sure nothing has been twisted. Always, 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 always double check that. Make sure that the lining is nice and flat. So now with my lining looks like this. A part is folded, a part is not. I'm going to fold the other part, and just, you can baste it or you can pin it in place. Like so at the top. And we're not going to sew this part. Or you can just baste it at the top and at the bottom. So from the right side, you will see it like this. Like it will have an opening here, and then 2 pins or clips, or baste it at the top and the bottom. So now you're gonna take your, leave this with the wrong side out. Leave the lining with the wrong side out, and take your main waistband with the right side out and place them wrong sides together, matching the side seams in my case, or the center and back seams if you are using a size smaller than 2X. And I'm going to pin it in place both at the top and at the bottom. For both the center and the back, having the notch here will definitely help me. So I'm aligning the notches together and pinning it in place, the top and the bottom of the waistband, because it will help me when I attach it to the dress. Okay, so my elastic will be cased through the side seam, whereas sizes extra small to 1X will be cased through the back. Alright, and now the center back. Again, I'm matching the notches and I'm putting a clip on both the top and the bottom of the waistband to hold it in place nicely. Matching the raw edges. Alright, so your waistband will look like this. Make sure that it's not twisted. And it looks like I've twisted it somewhere? No. Okay. So your waistband will look like this. Wrong sides together, pinned in place or clipped in place. And now we're going to go ahead and attach it to the top and the bottom. So let's start with the top that you finished on day 3. Find the center of the front, and for that I just place my side seams together and mark the center with a pin. The waistband to the top and the bottom is a 1-to-1 ratio, so there will be no stretching involved. What will make the waist snitched, like snitch the romper or the dress at the waist, would be the elastic that will be threading through, but not the waistband. That is a relaxed fit, just like the top and the bottom. Alright, so I'm laying. Make sure that the right side of the waistband attaches to the right side of the top, and you have your grommet holes, your grommets in the front, not on the side and not on the back. You don't want your grommets on the back. And of course, grommets are optional and purely decorative, so don't stress if you didn't want to add them. I am matching my side seams. I am matching my center back, right sides together, making sure that the waistband has not twisted on me. For the smaller sizes, your side seam, your folded edge will be on the back. On the back. Alright, I'm not going to add any more pins throughout. I'll just use my fingers to make sure that the raw edges align. If you're more comfortable, you can certainly add pins throughout this, and then we will be stitching it in place. Or if your fabric tends to roll, you might want to consider adding more pins throughout, because you want to make sure you catch all 3 layers in your stitches. You'll have 1 layer for the bodice and 2 layers for the waistband. I like to start sewing at the side seam a little more towards the back. See, there is no stretching involved. Everything is 1-to-1 ratio, so you just sew around, matching around. So the waistband is now attached to the top of the romper. So now we're going to be attaching it to the skirt too, using the exact same principle as we did before. Since I'm doing a skirt, I will have to find and mark my center front and center back. If you're doing a romper or the shorts, you already have the front seam and the back seam from the pants part, so you don't even have to mark those. Easy peasy. Again, no stretching involved here either. Highly, highly, highly important to make sure that you have matched the front of the pants or skirt with the front of the bodice, in my case the one that has the pockets, and the grommets. Don't put the back of the skirt on the front of the bodice. You won't like the result. Alright, so again I'm matching the centers just like I did before for the top. Right sides together, matching the side seams. Right sides together. When you come around the part that has pockets, make sure you catch all the layers. There will be a point where you'll have 5 layers to make sure that are caught in the pins. 2 for the pockets, 1 for the skirt or pants, and 2 for the waistband. So make sure they're all caught in the pins and in the stitches. That's the only part where I will actually use extra pins. Again, if you're doing sizes 1X and smaller, your back, your casing part will be in the back, whereas mine is on the side seam. And I think, oh, 1 more in the back, and I think I'm good. Again, sew this around like you did for the bodice. Make sure you catch all 3 or 5 layers, depending on which part of the circle you're on. You want to go slow, you want to make sure that you don't break your needle in the grommets, like I almost did. And at the pockets, you want to make sure you and your raw edges are all aligning. The romper is almost done. So now I have my waistband attached. 2 steps left, adding the optional faux drawstring and threading the elastic through the casing that we've made. So this is from the front. Obviously I will give it a good press. My pocket and the drawstring are both on the front, so that's good. Now let's create the little drawstring. I'm going to fold it right sides together on the long end and just stitch it along the long end with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. You can use a store-bought cord for this. A piece of ribbon. It's not a functional drawstring. Because you have the elastic, you don't really need a functional drawstring. It's just for an extra. Alright. So now I'm going to use my little turner thingy. Alright, so we're going to put it through our handy dandy turner. And then we're just going to thread the elastic through the casing and sew it down shut. Give it a good press and make sure you post your finished project in the comments of day 6 of the Sew Along album, so we can see you, and you can be entered to win a gift card to Parents for Pirates, or we'll have a runner-up with a gift card from Made for Mermaids. You'll also win a prize from our sponsor, Coordinate Fabric Nonsense. And for the ends, what I like to do is once I put them through my faux drawstring, I like to just tie knots. I don't go very complicated, so I thread them through and I just tie a knot at the end. Again, purely decorative, they don't have to do anything. And you don't need functional drawstrings for this pattern because it has elastic. So cute. Alright, so to thread your elastic, take either 2 safety pins or a bobbin and find the opening that we've left in either the side seam or the back seam, depending on the size you're making. And that's where we'll start threading the elastic. And there it is. So see, right here I have an opening, and this is where I'll put my elastic through. Make sure your elastic doesn't twist in the waistband. So feel it with your fingers to make sure it always stays flat. I am using knit elastic, not no roll elastic. I find no roll elastic to not have that much elasticity, and it's rougher. So again, I'm making sure that my elastic has not twisted when I was threading it. I want to keep my elastic flat in the waistband. Okay, and when you get to the side seam where you started thread the elastic, make sure you pin it or clip it quickly to keep it flat, because by the time you get from one machine to another, I can tell you from experience that will twist in your arms. And don't sew it shut, the elastic loop, until you double check that it's flat through the waistband. You don't want to start opening things up to retwist the elastic. It's a hassle. Better to try it before. Alright, so I'm at the exit point right now. So I'm using my bobbin to get my elastic out, like so. Alright, so now theoretically it should be like this. So I'm gonna just pin it in place like so, and then before I stitch it down, I'm not pinning it in place like just half an inch. I just pin it to hold it. I want to go through all the waistband and make sure it's nice and flat. Trust me, it's worth taking this extra time to double check and feel that the elastic is nice and flat inside. It's worth doing it now than after and realize it's not. And you're just using your fingers to feel for any twistings. Alright, it might help to turn it. See? I'm using my fingers, using my eyes, just to check that the elastic is correctly pinned and it's not turned. It looks like I'm good. So I'm gonna go ahead at my sewing machine and stitch the elastic down, overlapping half an inch. And that is it. You are the proud owner of a new dress or romper. Super, super pretty. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I look forward to seeing all your finished projects. Make sure you do your check-in in the comments of day 6, and of course go ahead and show off your creations everywhere you want, including the main patterns for Pirates group. But in order for me to be able to see your check-in, you do have to do that in the comments of day 6 photo of the Sew Along album. Thank you so much for joining me once again, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!